Here's the fact that should scare you straight. The average high school senior spends over 1,100 hours of their final year on their phone, scrolling, not studying, not building, not preparing, just scrolling, while the college acceptance letters and the job offers quietly go to the 10% of students who did something different with that same year. That's not a guess. That's the number. 1,100 hours. Enough time to learn a new language, build a business, or completely transform your body and your mind. And instead, it disappears into a feed that doesn't even remember your name. Here's my verdict, and I want you to sit with this. Senior year is not a victory lap. It is the single most dangerous year of your entire academic life, because it looks like freedom, but it's actually a test, and most people fail it without even realizing the test was happening. Before we go further, hit subscribe right now, because what I'm about to tell you could change the next 10 years of your life, and I don't want you to miss what comes next. Hit like if you're watching this while you still have time to fix it. And share this with one senior year student you actually care about, because most people won't see this until it's too late to use it. I also want you to know that next video, I'm going to break down the exact morning routine that turned failing students into scholarship winners in under 90 days. So stay close, because that's coming. But right now, we need to talk about the 7 things that are quietly destroying your senior year. And if you're doing even 3 of these, I need you to stop today, not tomorrow today. The first mistake is waiting for motivation before you take action. I hear it constantly. I'll start studying when I feel motivated. I'll fix my habits when I feel ready. I'll apply to that scholarship when I'm in the right headspace. Let me tell you the truth nobody tells you in school. Motivation is not a starting point. Motivation is a byproduct of momentum. You do not feel your way into action, you act your way into feeling. The student who waits to feel like doing their college essay will wait until the deadline has passed and the opportunity is gone. The student who sits down and writes one bad paragraph, even when they don't feel like it, is already ahead of 90% of their graduating class, because they understand something most people never learn until they're 30 years old and stuck in a job they hate. Discipline creates motivation, not the other way around. If you are waiting to feel ready, you will be waiting for the rest of your life, and life does not wait for you. It moves whether you're ready or not, and your senior year is moving right now, this week, while you're watching this video. The second mistake is wasting time instead of protecting it. You have less time left than you think. Somewhere between homecoming and prom and finals and graduation parties, senior year convinces you that time is unlimited, that there will always be another weekend, another semester, another chance. There isn't. The clock on this specific version of your life, the one where you're 17 or 18 and building the foundation for everything that comes after, is running out faster than any other clock you've ever lived under. I want you to think about your average day right now. How much of it goes to things that will matter in 5 years, and how much of it disappears into things you won't even remember by next month? Here's a hard truth. You will not remember most of the videos you watched this year. You will not remember most of the group chats, but you will remember, for the rest of your life, whether you used this year to build something real, or whether you let it slip through your fingers while telling yourself you had time. Protect your hours the way you'd protect your money if someone told you your bank account was slowly being drained. Because it is. Every scroll, every wasted hour, every mindless binge is a withdrawal from an account you can never refill. The third mistake, and this one is brutal, is comparing your Chapter 1 to somebody else's Chapter 20. Social media has turned senior year into a highlight reel competition, and it is lying to you every single day. You see somebody's acceptance letter, somebody's perfect body, somebody's relationship, somebody's internship, and your brain tells you that you're behind, that you're failing, that everyone else has it figured out except you. I need you to hear this clearly. Nobody is posting their rejection letters. Nobody is posting the nights they cried because they didn't get in. Nobody is posting their debt, their family problems, their mental breakdowns at 2 in the morning. You are comparing the version of yourself that you know completely, flaws and all, to a version of somebody else that has been edited, filtered, and selected specifically to make you feel like you're losing. That comparison will poison your confidence faster than any failure ever could, because failure teaches you something. Comparison just makes you bitter and paralyzed. The only comparison that matters is you today versus you yesterday. That's the only scoreboard that's real. The fourth mistake is ignoring your health while you chase everything else. I watch students destroy their bodies during senior year in the name of productivity, running on 4 hours of sleep, living off energy drinks and fast food, skipping meals, skipping movement, telling themselves they'll fix it after graduation. Here is what actually happens when you do that. Your brain, the exact organ you need to perform at your highest level for college applications, exams, and interviews, starts to fail you. Sleep deprivation doesn't just make you tired, it wrecks your memory, your emotional regulation, your decision-making, and your ability to focus for more than 11 minutes at a time. You cannot out-hustle a broken nervous system. You cannot pour from an empty tank and expect to build the best year of your life on top of exhaustion and junk food. Your body is not separate from your success. Your body is the vehicle your success has to travel in, and if you total that vehicle before you even reach graduation, none of the other work matters. Sleep 7 to 9 hours. Move your body every single day, even if it's just a 20-minute walk. Eat like you actually respect yourself. This is not optional. This is the foundation everything else sits on. The fifth mistake is chasing approval instead of chasing growth. So many students spend their senior year trying to look impressive instead of trying to become someone impressive. They join clubs for the resume, not the growth. They chase grades for the parents, not the understanding. They post the achievement, but they skip the discipline that actually built real skill. Here's the problem with living for approval. Approval is a moving target that other people control, and the moment you build your identity around what others think of you, you hand them the steering wheel of your entire life. The people who go on to build extraordinary lives after high school are not the ones who were the most liked. They're the ones who became the most capable, the most disciplined, the most willing to do the unglamorous work when nobody was watching and nobody was clapping. Stop asking what will impress people. Start asking what will actually make you stronger, sharper, and more prepared for the real world that is coming for you in a matter of months, whether you feel ready or not. The sixth mistake is treating senioritis like it's harmless. I know the culture around this. Senior year is supposed to be the year you coast, the year you check out, the year grades don't matter anymore because you already got in somewhere or you're just trying to graduate. Let me tell you what actually happens to students who fully check out during their final year. Colleges rescind acceptances every single year from students whose grades drop too hard in the second semester. Employers who hire seniors for entry-level positions notice the difference between someone who finished strong and someone who limped across the finish line. And beyond any external consequence, there's an internal one that's even more dangerous. When you practice quitting on something for an entire year, you are training your brain to quit. You are building the habit of coasting right at the moment you're about to enter the most competitive, most demanding chapter of your life. Senior year is not the finish line. It's the last training camp before the real competition starts. Coast now, and you will find yourself coasting in college, coasting at your first job, coasting in your relationships, because you never built the muscle of finishing strong when it stopped feeling exciting. The seventh mistake, and this is the one that quietly ruins more futures than any other on this list, is avoiding the uncomfortable conversation about what comes after graduation. So many seniors spend this entire year avoiding the real questions. What am I actually going to do? What am I good at? What do I want my life to look like in 5 years? They avoid it because it's scary, because it feels overwhelming, because it's easier to just let the year happen to them instead of taking ownership of where it's leading. And then May arrives, graduation happens, the applause fades, and they're standing there with a diploma and absolutely no plan, wondering why everyone else seems to know exactly where they're going. I need you to do something uncomfortable this week. Sit down, alone, no phone, and actually think through what you want the next chapter to look like. Not what your parents want, not what looks good online. What you actually want, based on your actual strengths, your actual interests, your actual values. You do not need to have it all figured out. Nobody does at 18. But you need a direction, even a rough one, because a rough direction beats standing still every single time. Let me go a little deeper on why these 7 mistakes are so dangerous when they stack on top of each other, because that's what actually happens in real life. Nobody makes just one of these mistakes in isolation. A student stays up too late scrolling, which means they're exhausted the next day, which means they have no energy to study, which means they fall behind, which means they start comparing themselves to classmates who seem to have it together, which crushes their confidence, which makes them want to check out completely, which turns into full-blown senioritis, which means they never sit down to actually plan what comes after graduation. One mistake becomes 7. One bad night becomes a wasted year. That's how this works, and that's exactly why I'm not going to let you brush this off as just another motivational video you watched and forgot about by tomorrow afternoon. I also want to address something directly, because I know some of you watching this are thinking, it's too late. I've already wasted half the year. There's no point trying to fix it now. That thought right there is a lie your brain tells you to protect you from the discomfort of starting over. It is never too late in a school year to change direction. Colleges and employers do not just look at where you ended up, they look at your trajectory, the direction you were moving in. A student who turns things around in the second semester and finishes strong tells a far more powerful story than a student who was consistent the entire time and never had to fight for anything. Your comeback can become the most impressive part of your entire story, but only if you actually start the comeback instead of talking yourself out of it, because of how much time you think you've lost. Here's something else nobody tells you about senior year. The habits you build right now are not just about getting into college or landing a job. They are the blueprint your brain will default to for the next decade of your life. If you learn to push through discomfort now, to sit down and study when you don't feel like it, to protect your sleep, to finish what you start even when it's boring, you are literally rewiring your brain to default to discipline. And if you learn the opposite, if you learn that it's acceptable to coast, to quit when things get hard, to chase validation instead of growth, that becomes your default too. And you will carry that default into your first semester of college, your first job, your first real relationship, your first real financial decision. This is the part people underestimate the most. Senior year isn't just 12 months of your life. It's the training ground for the operating system you're going to run on for the next 50 years. I want to give you something practical before we move into the mindset shift, because I don't just want to leave you inspired, I want to leave you equipped. Pick one, just one, of the 7 mistakes we talked about today, the one that hit you the hardest, and commit to fixing that single thing for the next 7 days. Not all 7. 1. If it's sleep, get to bed 30 minutes earlier tonight. If it's comparison, delete the app that triggers it the most for 24 hours and notice how your mind feels without it. If it's avoiding the future, block out 20 minutes this weekend and actually write down 3 possible paths for after graduation. Small, specific, immediate action beats a giant, overwhelming plan every single time, because giant plans get abandoned and small actions get repeated, and repeated actions are the only thing that actually builds a different life. Now here's the mindset shift I promised you. The one that changes everything if you actually apply it. Senior year is not about being perfect. It's about being intentional. You are going to make mistakes this year. You are going to have days where you don't feel motivated, where you compare yourself to someone else, where you eat badly and sleep worse and scroll too long. That's not the problem. The problem is doing that on autopilot, without ever noticing, without ever course correcting. The students who win this year are not the ones who never mess up. They're the ones who catch themselves faster, who build one good habit at a time, who understand that this year is a rehearsal for the rest of their life, and they take the rehearsal seriously even when nobody's forcing them to. I want you to think about who you'll be standing on that graduation stage. Not the outfit, not the party after, but the actual person underneath the cap and gown. Will that person have used this year to build discipline, protect their time, take care of their body, chase real growth instead of approval, finish strong instead of coasting, and face the future with a plan instead of fear? Or will that person be exactly the same as they are today, just older, having let 365 days slip through their fingers while telling themselves they'd figure it out later? You get to decide that answer, starting today, starting with the very next choice you make after this video ends. Not next week, not after this next scroll, right now. This is more than a motivational speech. This is a wake-up call, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it, because the world outside that graduation stage does not care about your excuses, your bad moods, or your senioritis. It only cares about what you built while you had the time to build it. You have that time right now. Use it. Protect it. Respect it. Because in a year, you will either be someone who transformed this final chapter into the launch pad for an extraordinary life, or someone who let it become one more year they wasted while waiting to feel ready. Before you go, make sure you're subscribed, drop a comment telling me which one of these 7 mistakes hit you the hardest, because I read every single one, and share this with somebody in your life who needs to hear it today, not tomorrow. And stay close, because in the next video, I'm breaking down the exact morning routine that turned struggling students into scholarship winners in under 90 days, step by step, no fluff, just the system that actually works. I'll see you there.